So as it relates to the battlefield, you're talking about America's edge. You've also been supplying our allies, Ukraine and Israel, in two wars that it's hard to tell how they end. I mean, do you have any insight on that based on your visits to both and on the work that you're doing?
Well, I mean, they're very, very different places with different cultures and different strengths and weaknesses. On the Ukraine side, they need America's help, and the funding. They'll be in a very difficult position if the funding doesn't go through. So that's like what they've shown is that you can massively outperform what you should be able to perform using software, and that having people with software platforms that actually work on top of which they build is ideally suited for the modern battle situation. In Israel, there's a lot of our products are used, are publicly disclosed in one place and not publicly disclosed in another. And the issue there is much more, why do most people in the world and most people who are successful support Israel? So why is it that so few of us admit that we support Israel? That's the central issue Israel has. It does not, it's like, it has a lot of it's a very complicated environment in the Middle East, an environment that it's hard for Americans to understand. There are a lot of difficult choices none of them are perfect in Israel. They are obviously an ally, and we obviously stand by them. And I would say from a perspective of Palantir, it's like Israel is known as the second best tech community in the world. And when they have a choice of what software to buy, they buy the best software in the world, and it's noticeable that
you have been. I mean, I haven't seen any CEO as outspoken on the topic, and in public, in private. You took out the New York Times full-page ad supporting Israel. Part of it, some people will say, well, it's because you sell. That's your business. Right?
Israel has historically bought our product. It's not a commercially relevant part of our business. The reason why a lot of people don't speak up publicly is we have a lot of other markets that are much bigger where maybe speaking up is controversial, like the U.S. and other markets. And, so this definitively was not an economic decision. If any, you could critique it as an economic decision. I believe that, first of all, we have a precedent in this culture where people are supposed to speak up. It seems like they only speak up when the issue is either irrelevant, meaningless, or somehow it's something you can say that you don't believe that won't get you in trouble and will allow you to sell products you may not believe in while pretending you have beliefs you don't. That's not how we roll at Palantir. And when you come to Palantir, to work at Palantir, when you invest in Palantir, or when you use our products.
Have you lost employees because of this?
We've lost employees. I'm sure we'll lose employees. I'm sure we'll lose, it's like any real, if you have a position that does not cost you ever to lose an employee, it's not a position. It's some kind of self-pleasuring where the joke is on the other person or the joke is on you. And when you join Palantir and you dedicate your life to Palantir, I am standing in front of the company, the people who run Palantir, standing with the company, not promising you to tell you something you want to hear. We're going to get as close to telling you how we see the world as we're legally and ethically allowed to. And we also do this externally. So when you buy Palantir, when I'm telling you that I'm going to sit behind the product or I'm going to sit behind a deployment, I'm telling you what I believe. Obviously business world's complicated. You have to make choices, but and then there's this is not a small issue. From my perspective, it's not just about Israel. It's like, do you believe in the West? Do you believe the West has created a superior way of living? Are you willing to admit you believe that? And by the way, the other thing it's about is, a lot of people believe these things in private, but they think they have the luxury of defending them in public. It's just not true. Part of the reason we have all this scourge of kind of sycophantic, soft, thin, counterproductive, suicidal thought that has infected a lot of our large institutions is because the people who are doing important things who do not agree, they never speak up. If you don't speak up and the other side is the only side screaming, don't be surprised when a lot of people follow it. And so it is imperative on people to actually stand up. And yes, there will be costs, but the costs are much greater if you don't.
Well, it's surprisingly unique to hear, Alex, and a message I think there to fellow CEOs. Thank you for joining us here at the Comcast Business Technology event. It's always good to talk to you, catch up with you on a number of things.
Huge pleasure.
Yeah, Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir. Guys, back over to you. Always says the quiet part out loud.